Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to that channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. I have some great news, and I have some hypothetical, alleged things that are going on behind the scenes in boxing. It's not confirmed yet, but I got this information from some great sources. El Filósofo de Boxeo and some other insiders in boxing that really know what's going on directly from all the different promotions and different deals and transactions that occur behind the scenes. So I just want to say, as far as Subriel Matias, I'm going to give you that news last. I'm going to talk about Xander Zayas first. Currently at the moment, the WBO just ordered a title eliminator between Josh Kelly and Jerome Boots Ennis, and they're doing a title eliminator for the WBO junior middleweight title that Xander Zayas just won by defeating Jose Garcia in impressive fashion. Excuse me for coughing. So the allegedly was being said that from some great sources and boxing sources is that Xander Zayas is gonna do a title defense against a to be announced opponent in December in Puerto Rico. Only one title defense, and then eventually he's going to move up to let me see. He's going to make a first title defense. Then he's going to move up to the 160 to get the vacant title that Jabik currently owns, the WBO. And they're saying that the Jabik is going to make a title defense at 160, and then he's going to move up to 168. And then there's going to be a title eliminator between Bentley and a Venezuelan fighter named Xander. They're going to do a title eliminator for that belt that Jabik is going to vacate after he does the title defense at 160. He's going to move up to 168. So then those two opponents, Bentley from England and Xander from Venezuela, they're going to do a title eliminator for that 160 weight WBO belt, where Xander Zayas is going to actually fight, fight for that belt against one of those two opponents, Bentley and Xander from Venezuela and Bentley from England. So once Xander Zayas does his first title defense in Puerto Rico, which is going to be his only title defense allegedly, and then he's going to move up to 160-pound division, where Jabik is currently the champion, I think, at the WBO, and he is going to make one title defense and move up to 168, and it's going to enable Xander Zayas to fight against one of those two fighters, the number one and the number two fighter, which will be Bentley and Xander. Bentley's from England and Xander is from Venezuela. He has let's see what his record is. He's 21 and let me see. He is well, Bentley is 21-3, 1 draw and 17 KOs, and let me see the Venezuelan guy. The Venezuelan guy, he has a record of 17-1, 1 draw and 14 KOs, which is impressive. But I haven't seen any of these fighters fight, and from what I hear, Bentley has been inactive for since December of 2024. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to see how it transpires, how everything takes place. But that is the information I got from El Filósofo del Boxeo and some other boxing news sources, which is really interesting because they're getting it from the horse's mouth, and you're getting it from the horse's mouth. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. So it says Josh. So it appears that Josh Kelly and Jerome Boots Ennis, they're trying to negotiate a fight at the junior middleweight WBO. He's number, I think Jerome Boots Ennis is number 3, and Josh Kelly's number 4. So they're gonna do a title eliminator for that fight to challenge for the WBO junior middleweight championship that Xander Zayas currently has. But the plans is not to actually make the fight between Jerome Boots Ennis, Josh Kelly winner with Zayas. The plan is to actually have Xander Zayas move up after a title defense against an unknown. We don't really have the name of the opponent that he's going to fight, but there's offers like Keith Thurman, Erickson Lubin, There's Jesus Ramos. There's nothing on the table, but those are possible fights that they could actually offer him, and I think is those are great matchups. Those are competitive matchups, more competitive than Jorge Garcia. But Jorge Garcia did earn his shot at number 2 to fight for Xander Zayas, the vacant title for Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas won, but I think those will be more competitive fights with Erickson Lubin, Jesus Ramos, and possibly Keith Thurman, which is a wonderful fight, but it's also a 50-50 fight because, Keith Thurman, he still has the goods, and, we don't know, like, what version of Keith Thurman we're going to have, but he's been inactive, so that does affect you. So Josh Kelly was saying that in the negotiations, he has said that that he got lowballed with the offer that they offer him, like the money they offer him to fight João Bus Ennis for the for the title eliminator for the WBO junior middleweight that Xander Zayas has. He said that he was lowballed and he's interested in the fight, but he don't like what they offered him. And he's basically saying that he would like to fight Xander Zayas or the champion. I think what's the champion that he said he wants to fight? I think Bakram Murtazalev. It's really hard to say that name. Bakram Murtazalev. I'll get the name right. I just got to read it again because it's a very exotic name. It's a Russian name, I believe. So yeah, so that's what Josh Kelly said. He's not. He doesn't like the way that Eddie Hearns lowballed him in the negotiations between him and João Bus Ennis title eliminator fight for the WBO junior middleweight. So we don't know what's going to happen, but we know that based on the sources that I have, that Xander Zayas is going to make one title defense, and then he's going to make one title defense of his junior middleweight belt, and then he's going to move up to the 160-pound division after Johnny Beck makes his title defense and moves up to 168. Then he's going to fight the winner of Bentley from England versus Isadrev from Venezuela. Between those two winners, he's gonna fight one of those guys that are gonna be fighting for the title eliminator of the WBO. But that Xander Zayas is gonna actually fight I don't know, like, who's he gonna fight to get the WBO from Janovic once he moves up. I don't know how that's gonna work out, but that is the plans for Top Rank so far. Where in the world or what country? This is Puerto Rico! Puerto Rican flag. Alex 1, number 1. Where in the world or what country? This is Puerto Rico, baby. Puerto Rico. That's the flag that I got up there. Kenty, number 2 fan. Hey, salute to everybody tuning in. Kenty, number 2, said hi. How you doing? Thanks for tuning into my channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that button. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. I'm trying to get to 1,000, and every time I do a video, people like the content that I'm giving them. I'm giving them the information that they need to know, the unadulterated truth, and the real boxing inside scoop of what's going on behind the scenes, and also what's next and what's not next, and what fights you want to see. Let me know in the comments what do you think what I just said as far as the plans with Xander Zayas, Top Rank, and what they're trying to do strategically. Because right now, I truly believe that Xander Zayas has a lot of skills. He's very talented. He showed a lot of skills and ability in that win against Jorge Garcia. But Camila, number 2, said hi. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Everybody that's in my channel that subscribes is my family. And people that subscribe to my channel are very brave people because they're not afraid of the truth. And they always embrace the truth that comes out of my mouth and my mind. Because I give knowledge, I give truth, I give liberation, and I also give celebration. We celebrate the truth and not afraid to speak our mind and speak whatever's going on in the world of boxing and beyond. But this is a boxing channel. You can tune in and subscribe and share it with all people that you know. And I believe that the actual plans with Subriel Matias, that's another thing I got to talk about. Subriel Matias was actually in attendance in the Madison Square Garden fight to show support to his countryman Xander Zayas, and he was there shaking hands with all the fans, and he has a very, very strong following, a very, very huge following, because whenever I talk about Subriel Matias, my channel, the algorithms is actually goes further, is because Subriel Matias does have a strong fan base, and they're not promoting him like as much as Xander Zayas, but he's promoting himself, and Turkey Al-Sheikh could work with him, PBC could work with Subriel Matias, you know, any company, Top Rank, the Zone, anybody could work with Subriel Matias, because Subriel Matias has a promoter, Durango, Fresh Boxing Production, which he has leverage, and he's open to work with any promoter or any entity of boxing. So that's what's good about Subriel Matias. He still promotes himself. He was actually promoting himself in Madison Square Garden, shaking hands with his fans, taking pictures. There were people lined up to take a picture with Subriel Matias from Puerto Rico, el orgullo de Maternillo. So he basically was using his leverage with the fans, and all the different boxing promoters were working with him, giving him offers on what he wants to do next for his title defense. And there's nothing set in stone yet as far as where he's going to fight, exactly when he's going to fight. It could be November 22nd against Dalton Smith, but that's not set in stone, because they're giving him a lot of offers, and Subriel Matias is really smart. He's actually promoting himself and showing his leverage and that he's a commodity, because he's showing all the boxing promoters right there in Madison Square Garden just how viable he is, and just how easily he can be promoted, and how he affects the fans, how the fans really love him. So he's showing his leverage right there, and there's a lot of different promotions that want to promote his next fight. So they haven't made a deal yet, but he's showing his marketability. He's showing that he is very how you say, he's a hot commodity, and that he could be promoted by anyone, because he's his promotion, Fresh Boxing Promotion from Puerto Rico, they're open to work with anybody. And Turkey Al-Sheikh already wants Subriel Matias to fight on his cards. He's very useful and very promotable, because of his fan base has grown a lot. Subriel Matias, you know, even in spite of him not being marketed by Top Rank or etc. and all those PBDs that you think about, ESPN, Top Rank, but he doesn't need that, because he has a promoter that's independent from Puerto Rico that they can work with anyone. And I feel like he's definitely shown how much of a commodity he is in Madison Square Garden when he was taking pictures with all the fans. And they're trying to work out something. There was talks about Subriel Matias fighting under the card of Amanda Serrano in December with MVP Promotion, and I'm not promoting them, but I'm just, you know, saying what they actually said. And that's a good exhibition, good viewership that he could get with MVP Promotion, because they have a big reach, and it's possible that he could fight November 22nd. We don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. It's not necessarily that he's going to fight Dalton Smith, even though Turkey Al-Sheikh said that you're going to fight on this date, because at the end of the day, Subriel Matias could do what he wants, because he has a lot of options, and he's using his flexibility by going to Madison Square Garden and proving to all the boxing promoters that he has fans and he has a huge support. And he showed that when he took pictures with all his fans when they were lining up to take a picture with him. So he went there. I know that he deliberately did that to show just how his marketability is. He's very marketable, and he's showing that, and he's actually promoting himself, which is a good thing, because now he doesn't need to be signed to a major promotion, because all the big promotions, Turkey Al-Sheikh, everybody, PBC, now they're looking for him, because they see how marketable he is, because he actually deliberately did that intentionally to show how he could promote himself. He stepped up to Hitchinson's, and you know, it went viral when he smacked Teofimo Lopez. Like a lot of things, you know, he has to be right there in the mix, and he has to keep doing that, because at the end of the day, you have to promote yourself too as a boxer. Do you reckon Matias beats Dalton Smith? Let me see. I don't got my glasses. M21. That's a good question. I mean, Dalton Smith, I don't know too much about him, but he looks like he has the goods. He looks like he has boxing skills. He has boxing ability. He has some kind of power, but he hasn't faced anybody like Subriel Matias. So I can't really say who will win a fight like that, but I think Subriel Matias has more than enough to beat somebody like that. But at the same time, we never know because this is a young man's sport, and Subriel Matias is 33 years old, but I think Subriel Matias has a lot left. And I feel like Subriel Matias could beat a guy like that. And especially that he's champion now. When you're a champion, you're going to fight at a higher level. It just motivates you. And I think Subriel Matias' relentlessness is different. So, it all depends. That's a good question, though. But I feel at the end of the day, Subriel Matias could do what he wants. He doesn't have to fight a Dalton Smith because let's be real. A lot of people are not clamoring that fight. That's something that Eddie Hearns wants. And he spoke to Turki Al-Sheikh about it because he feels that, that's his fighter, Eddie Hearns. So he wants his fighters to get an opportunity to win a championship. So he's using his leverage as well as a promoter with Matchroom, Eddie Hearns. So, but the fans don't really want to see a fight like that. And I think Subriel Matias is going to capitalize on, he'll fight anybody. Subriel Matias says he'll fight whoever they put in front of him. And he said it. And whoever they put in front of me. But right now, there's nothing set in stone as far as who he's going to fight and when he's going to fight. I know that Pitbull Cruz has mentioned interest in fighting Subriel Matias. He wants that WBC belt that Subriel Matias currently has. And I think that's a fight that would sell because the Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry is really huge and it's really marketable for boxing. And it'll make more money than a Dalton Smith. A Dante Smith is not something that is in demand that fans want to see. Nobody knows who Dante Smith is. They only know who Dante Smith is because Eddie Hearns brought it up to Turki Al-Sheikh, and then Turki Al-Sheikh kind of like imposed that Subriel Matias is going to fight Dante Smith on the undercard of David Benavidez November 22nd. But that's not set in stone. Subriel Matias has options. MVP Promotions, fight under Amanda Serrano's undercard. He could fight with different promoters. It all depends. But Turki Al-Sheikh is the one that has the money. He puts the most money down. I think MVP probably pays good too as well, but I don't know like how much, if they pay more than Turki Al-Sheikh. But Turki Al-Sheikh is actually doing a great thing in boxing for the most part. So I feel like he has options though. Subriel Matias has options to get viewership, more people, more eyeballs with MVP Promotions or Turki Al-Sheikh, PBC, Top Rank. Everybody's coming to Subriel Matias to actually make his next fight, his next title defense. There's rumors that he could either fight Puello in the rematch, which was there's a rematch clause in that contract, but we don't know if he's going to fight him immediately. He's probably going to make a title defense with somebody else first and then fight Puello. But a lot of the Dominicans, they're trying to like hate on Puerto Ricans, because we have 4 champions currently. If you want to count Amanda Serrano, that's 5, and I think we're going to have 6 with Yanquiel Rivera when he fights on DAZN on MVP Promotions in August. He's fighting for a title. He's fighting an undefeated 19-0, 12 KOs fighter from Venezuela. And I feel like he's not fighting bums. He's fighting legitimate contenders that actually is going to be in competitive fights. Like, he's not fighting just gimme fights. He's not getting gimme fights. Like, let me get an easy fight to get to, because he's preparing. It's like if you have a title, you're going to be able to keep the title because you fought competitive fights throughout before you actually won the title. So it'll prepare you for the tough challenges at the elite level in boxing. So that's a good way to look at it. That's what he was saying. So yeah, thanks for tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Yeah, MM21, that was a good question. Let me see who else. Dilbert. Thanks for tuning in, Dilbert. I appreciate you. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. So yeah, that's what's going on in boxing right now. And I feel that the Dominicans have been, saying stuff like, oh, that we have better prospects than Puerto Rico. Look, I'm not saying that Dominicans don't have good prospects, but Rohan Polanco and Giancarlo Santana, they didn't look so impressive. They didn't wow us. They didn't actually overwhelm us with with joy that they were going to be like at the next level if they fight one of the champions like Brian Norman. If Rohan Polanco fights Ryan Norman right now, he will get knocked out because the way he looked in that fight, he struggled. He struggled with the boxing style. He did win the fight. He didn't look overly impressive. He got the job done, and he got countered like towards the end of that fight. But at the same time, he won the fight, but he didn't wow anybody. He didn't make us feel like, oh wow, like this is the next sensation of the Dominican Republic. No, Rohan Polanco left a lot to be desired. If he would have knocked him down or knocked him out, then he would have showed his level. Like, wow, he's in a different level. He has a lot to learn, and Rohan Polanco has a lot to learn. And Carlos Santana, he won the fight, but he didn't look so impressive to the point where we're clamoring to see him fight against the elite level. They're not there yet, and they haven't shown anything other than, like with the eyeball test. Like, they haven't passed the eyeball test to the extent where we feel like they're ready for the next level. No. The ones that passed the eye test to me was Palmita Lopez de Jesus, Juanma Lopez's son, the two-time champion, former champion, Juanma Lopez's son. He looked very impressive. His speed, his power, his skills, the angles, the way he boxes, the way he sets up his combinations, the way he times his times the shots and the openings that he looks at from his opponents. He showed everything, and so did Emiliano Vargas. Not hating on the Mexicans, but the Mexicans have been hating too. The Mexicans have been hating too because they have been saying, like, Julio Cesar Chavez, he said something that was so naive and so so disrespectful. He said that, oh, if Xander Zayas is as good as he is, then why is he like running and holding him? He said if he's as good as he is, like the way they say he is, why he don't go toe to toe with the Mexican? Because we're smarter than the Mexican. Puerto Rican boxers, 9 times out of 10, we're smarter than the Mexicans. The Mexicans have one-dimensional style. What you want the Puerto Rican to do? To limit himself, to limit his chances of winning by just going toe to toe and not using all his abilities to give the Mexican Jose Garcia the chance to beat him? He wasn't running, man. Julio Cesar Chavez, you're a hater. I got respect for Julio Cesar Chavez. He's the greatest Mexican champion ever. But I think he's a hater. He always didn't like Puerto Ricans. He always, he said that they have habits. Puerto Rican fighters have habits. He said a word, mañoso. Puertorriqueños son mañoso. Well, that's good because they use their veteran tactics. But you got to look at it like this. Why would Xander Zayas stoop down to the level of a limited one-dimensional fighter in Jorge Garcia, who's a brawler, who earned this spot? But let's be real. Why would Xander Zayas limit his ability and put himself in harm's way and just fight a one-dimensional fight with Jorge Garcia? Why would he do that? Jorge Garcia is limited. He had the reach, he had the power, but why would I be stupid if I have more boxing ability and more athleticism than Jorge Garcia and fight him toe to toe if I know that I could beat him in different ways? That's not Xander Zayas' fault, Julio Cesar Chavez. That is Jorge Garcia's fault because Jorge Garcia is limited. He couldn't cut the ring. He couldn't deal with the boxing footwork of Xander Zayas. And let's be real, Xander Zayas didn't run. He stood toe to toe with him when he needed to, and then he moved away, but he wasn't running away. He was giving him a boxing clinic, and he was outlanding the hell out of Jorge Garcia. He landed 200 punches of his shots. So you can't say that Xander Zayas was running. Xander Zayas was beating the crap out of Jorge Garcia from pillar to post, beating him up. He looked like a dead man walking, Julio Cesar Chavez. You just want a fighter that has more ability to limit himself on purpose to give the fighter that has less ability a chance to win. That is stupid, Julio Cesar Chavez. That is stupid. You sound like an ignorant person, Julio Cesar Chavez. You sound like a hater. Mexicans that talk like that are haters. Don't hate on the skill. Don't hate on the skill. Xander Zayas has more athleticism. Puerto Ricans have more athleticism than Puerto Ricans in general. I'm not saying that all Mexicans fight like that, but most Mexicans are limited and one-dimensional when it comes to like the styles. That's a fact. Roman Ibrahim. Number 2 fan. Zayas fought really well. If people hate, it's fine. That's part of the game. People are going to hate. When you're successful, there's always going to be people that hate. Especially Mexico, Puerto Rico rivalry. The Mexicans are hating right now. And the Dominicans, they're not even in the rivalry. They're not. They just started. They just started touching the tip of the ice cake. They're not even a whole cake. They just touching the tip. And barely. Okay, Dennis Vera. Xander moving up in weight too fast. Well, his weight, I think he's a lot of people were saying that he was drained in that fight. He could have been drained. He looked really like his cheekbones, you could see them like before the fight. But only he knows what's best for his career and his promoters, you know. Top Rank does a good job in creating champions and building them up so they get more experience. Dennis Vera, that was a great comment. I appreciate your comment. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Yeah, Roman Ephraim, Zayas fought really well. If people hate, it's fine. Yeah, you're right, because people are always going to hate, man. Because whenever you're successful, if you don't have haters, then you're doing something wrong. Because you're going to have people that support you, but you're also going to have people that hate on you. So that's good. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. But at the end of the day, Puerto Rican boxing's taking over again. And the Mexicans and the Dominicans, we're on a higher level right now. Mexicans, they have a lot of talent, and they have a great pedigree in boxing, just as Puerto Ricans. But let's just be real. Puerto Rican, small island with 3.5 million people, has the most champions per capita in any country. So that says a lot about us. Turtle says, I think Canelo's still in the top. Canelo is I don't think he's the best because he hasn't fought Benavidez, but he is, as far as the face of boxing, he is in a sense, because he still brings people to watch the fights, and he still sells. But at the end of the day, those fights that we saw, Munguia, Berlanga, Charlo moving up 3 weight classes, those were all, that was a circus, and that was not authentic and sincere for the real purist boxing fans that really want to see him fight David Benavidez. There's no shame in your game if you lose to David Benavidez, but the best should always fight the best. And I feel like Canelo is trying to insult the intelligence of the real boxing fans by choosing those fights that he's chosen throughout the years. And you know, I feel like that the real boxing fans know better. We're not gullible. We know that he hasn't been fighting the best. He's just been using his name as of lately. I'm saying as of lately to just milk the most success that he can actually get in fighting, make the most money while he is not in his prime anymore like he used to be. I don't think that Canelo's in his prime anymore. The only reason why some people think he's in his prime is because he's fought limited opposition that made him look like he still has a lot left, but he still didn't knock out those guys. He should have knocked out Berlanga. He should have knocked out Charlo, because he was coming up in weight, and you know, Berlanga hasn't proven himself, so he should have knocked him out. And he should have knocked out Munguia too, because look who knocked out Munguia, Sarase, a guy that hasn't really fought anybody. You know, he didn't really have that much power, and he knocked him out. But I guess, you know, styles make fights. But if Canelo was that good and in his prime, he would have knocked out Munguia, but he didn't. So Turtle, Puerto Ricans are good at everything. Number 3, thanks for the comment. I appreciate you, my brother. Mexicans have talent as well. Where you calling from? Where you calling from? Where you tuning in from, my brother? Turtle, where you tuning in from? I like to know where my fans are tuning in from. And I like to engage with my fans because they're part of my family. Anybody who tunes in to Tony Also Knows Boxing and subscribes to my channel is a real brave individual, because I speak truth and I don't hold back. I don't mince my words. I say everything that needs to be said, unbiased and unadulterated truth. So yeah, Puerto Ricans are we've had champions in every weight class in boxing. We're great at baseball, boxing, basketball, and we're doing good in soccer. But I don't follow those sports. But there's a lot of things that we do good in. We played football too. You know, we play football. There's a lot of players that. Okay, what happened with that message? You sent the message and it got deleted, or you deleted it? Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in, Turtle. No, I'm not. Turtle number 3 asked me, "Are you a boxing coach?" No, I'm not a boxing coach, but I think I would be a good boxing coach. What do you think? Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. I'm gonna be interviewing Xander Zayas, the future champion in the 130 weight class division from Puerto Rico. Caimito, Puerto Rico. I tried to interview him. I did interview him last weekend, but I had trouble inviting him to the live. Xander Zayas. So I had to do a messenger Facebook video, and I wasn't able to record the video. So when I do this video with when I do this interview with Xander Zayas this Saturday, the interview is most likely I'm gonna do it at 2 or 3 o'clock, and I'm gonna do it through a different way than before, and I'm gonna be able to record it and then share it later. So I'm gonna do the video interview live with Xander Zayas, ask him about his career and etc. His next fight, September 12th, on Universal Promotions on pay-per-view. So support him, and I'm gonna do it live when I interview him, but then I'm gonna record it and share it on my YouTube because I'm having trouble with the YouTube live on on my channel. But God willing, I get everything resolved, and yeah. So I'm gonna be sharing that video, the interview of Xander Zayas, this Saturday, but I'm gonna actually share it after I record it. So yeah, subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Turtle number 3. I need a boxing coach. Turtle number 3. I'm going to be champ. Hey man, I wish you nothing but success, my brother. Turtle, thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to that channel, and yes, I wish you nothing but the best and much success. You're gonna be champion. You stay dedicated, stay focused. I'm so flattered by your comment about asking me if I was a boxing coach. I think I would be a good boxing coach because I'm very positive and I'm very knowledgeable about the sport. I mean, of course, every day you learn something, and I'm not saying that I know everything, because nobody does, but I always try to upgrade my knowledge and my abilities in every aspect of life, not just boxing, but in every aspect, history, studying, knowledge, just having an overall knowledge of information that keeps me in tune with what's going on. So yeah, I appreciate that comment, and just keep on doing what you're doing, Turtle, and never give up on your dreams and your desires, because if you have the love for it and the passion for it, and you stay consistent, you're gonna find that coach, and somebody's gonna come to you. A coach is gonna come to you. You may be looking for a coach, but a coach might just see you because you're so dedicated and you're so consistent. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and never lose the love for the sport of whatever you love and put your mind to. So keep on doing it, keep on striving, and you're gonna get to what you want in your life, and you're gonna accomplish it, Turtle. So keep doing your thing, my brother. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Alex Lopez, what about Edgar Berlanga? He's trash. Edgar Berlanga, he's focused on being a celebrity. He's not focused on being the best. You got to focus on your skill set and being better as far as your skills. I don't hate on Edgar Berlanga, but I call it for what it is. Edgar Berlanga needs to focus on his boxing pedigree, his skills, his footwork. He's one-dimensional. He needs to focus. He's improved a little. Against Quigley, I was impressed with the transition that he made. But as far as the higher level, like Sharice, he showed that he was just struggling at 154. That's why he lost to Adames, the Dominican champion. But I believe that he was struggling with the weight, and I think now he's fully in the weight that he needs to be, and that's why he has so much strength. But I think Edgar Berlanga was thinking too highly of himself when he hasn't accomplished anything. The only thing that he accomplished was going 12 rounds with Canelo, but he didn't win any rounds. I'd probably give him 1 round. I don't think he really deserved to be praised just for going the distance. I think that's backwards. Why do you praise somebody for losing? But I think Berlanga, he's still marketable. He could fight Caleb Plant. He could fight Munguia. He's still marketable. But marketable doesn't mean that you're a legitimate contender. It's all about business now, and boxing is more of a business than it ever was, especially now Now you don't have to be that good. All you have to do is have a loud mouth, talk trash, build some clout by calling out a fighter that's more established or more elite than you, and just being arrogant, and then they'll promote you because it sells. Controversy sells, and the name, you know, Belanga insulting De La Hoya, which I thought that was hilarious. But all those things are marketing tools. But I don't really think too much about Edgar Berlanga. I think Xander Zayas is the truth, and Mexicans are very butthurt about the fact that Puerto Ricans are in that spot where they actually have more talent now. You see a lot of Mexican Americans are coming up, which I'm really fond of. Emiliano Vargas style, he's doing good. I'm really impressed with him. But as far as like Canelo's the only star they have, and then Pitbull Cruz, they don't have no other major star. And I feel like right now in boxing, Puerto Rico has more potential stars. We have Oscar Collazo, even though that weight class is 105 or 8. I don't know what division is, more or less to that weight division. And he's talented, 12-0 with 10 KOs, I believe. Oscar Collazo. And I feel like he has a lot of potential. And Juanita Lopez de Jesus has a lot of potential. He impressed me with the eyeball test. He passed it. He's very, very capable, and he has charisma. And I believe he's going to go far. And I think that eventually, because he's at 115 pounds, Oscar Collazo, he could fight Inoue. Because Inoue is 122, but I feel like eventually Juanita Lopez could move up to that weight. He's at 115, and I believe that he could move into that weight. I don't know how soon, but it's possible because he's just starting at that weight, 115. So imagine how far he could go. You could probably go to as far as the 130-pound division or 35 within 1 or 2 years. I think that can happen. It depends. So yeah, Turtle, you're gonna be champ, man. Just keep on what you're doing. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to the channel. So I believe Oscar Collazo, very talented. Juanita Lopez, very talented. Subriel Matias is a machine. And Xander Zayas, he has room for improvement, but he looked great, and he dominated Jorge Garcia. Whatever the Mexican fighters, Mexican fighter Julio Cesar Chavez is saying, he's just I think he's jealous. He's jealous of the fact that Puerto Ricans have come up so much right now in this year. We have 4 champions, 5 champions you want to include Amanda Serrano, and we still have more potential to get more champions. I think that's bothering him. The fact that Mexicans always struggle with our abilities, with Puerto Rican fighters' ability. That is a fact. We have 88 wins versus 73 wins of Mexicans against each other in the rivalry. And we're still ahead in the rivalry, the Puerto Ricans, Boricuas. So call it for what it is. Julio Cesar Chavez is one of the biggest haters of Puerto Ricans. Yes, he's beat all Puerto Ricans, but has he ever fought Tito Trinidad? He never fought Tito Trinidad. He was scared to lose to him. That's why Tito Trinidad would have hospitalized him. Not glorifying that violence, like they're putting him in a coma. No, but Tito Trinidad would have destroyed him. I think Felix Tito Trinidad is the best Puerto Rican champion ever, in my opinion, because he beat all the Mexicans. He defended his belt, stayed undefeated since 1992 to 2001, and he won 5 championships in 3 weight divisions without ever losing a fight, and dominated all the Mexicans that ever went up against him. He never let a Mexican beat him, and I think that's another reason why the Mexicans hate on Tito Trinidad, because he beat all the Mexicans. No Mexican ever beat him, and that's why some Mexican people say that Miguel Cotto is their favorite, because Miguel Cotto, he beat all the Mexicans, but technically he lost to the Mexican because Margachito cheated with the plaster. So they're more willing to accept Cotto than Tito Trinidad, the ones they hate, because of that, those details, those facts. But the real Mexican, they say Tito Trinidad is the best. Like Margarito, in spite of him cheating, said Tito Trinidad is the best. He said that he would have knocked out Cotto, that he's the best. So I like Margachito. I don't like what he did. I don't like that he cheated, but I like him as a person. Like as far as like the way he speaks, like he says he didn't cheat against Cotto, but I believe he did. And there's evidence to prove it. Xander looked good. He has no punching power at all, man. Look at his skills. I think every elite fighter at 154 beats them. Jay Will. He has power, but he don't have one punch power. I mean, he does have power, but not one punch power. He did hurt Jorge Garcia a couple of times in that fight, and you could tell that he did. But he doesn't have one punch KO power. So I would slightly agree and slightly disagree. Um, yeah, the current champions at 154, I don't think that Xander Zayas is ready for um, Fundora at this moment. He might be ready for Virgil Ortiz, but I still think that he needs a couple of more fights and to title defenses and to get better. Like, give him a chance to get better, and I think that he will beat the elite. But right now, at this moment, I don't see him beating the Fundora. I don't see him beating Fundora. Virgil Ortiz, he might be able to beat him, but I still need to see more from Xander Zayas. But good point. But I think that he does have Xander Zayas has power. He doesn't have one punch KO power. He has a cumulative effect, determination power. If he was to actually up the ante and do a little more, he could have stopped Jorge Garcia. I believe that. But he chose to box him and outland him, and he looked down in that fight. He just didn't wow me to the point where I'm like, wow, he's ready for the next champions that are in the division. I still need to see more. All right. Okay, Jay Will. Salvador Sanchez better than any Puerto Rican. Well, let me tell you right now. The only reason why Salvador Sanchez beat Wilfredo Gomez is because Wilfredo Gomez moved up from 122 to 126 to fight Salvador Sanchez. So he had an advantage. So you can't, he's a great fighter. He's a great champion. God rest his soul, Salvador Sanchez. But he never gave Wilfredo Gomez the rematch in the same weight class, like in a weight class where they both were evenly matched, because Salvador Sanchez had the advantage because he naturally was the 126-pound champion weight class. But, as far as Wilfredo Gomez, he was not a naturally 126-pounder, and he moved into the 126-pound division to fight Salvador Sanchez, where Salvador Sanchez was the natural 126-pounder. And, Wilfredo Gomez moved up from the 122 division, and he was knocking everybody out, even all the Mexicans. So 32-0 with one draw and 32 KOs, all title defenses by knockout. He was beating all the Mexicans. And the only reason why Salvador Sanchez beat Wilfredo Gomez is because of the weight class. Like, Salvador Sanchez was able to handle Wilfredo Gomez's power at the 126 weight division because Wilfredo Gomez was not a natural 126-pounder. He just took that fight for the money and for the rivalry, Mexico versus Puerto Rico, because it sells. But let's be real here. Puerto Ricans have more victories in championship fights than Mexicans. We have 88 to 73. So we're ahead in the boxing rivalry. So, like, I'm not gonna say that Salvador Sanchez wasn't a great fighter. He was, and he wasn't like a typical Mexican, just one-dimensional. He had boxing ability as well. I'm not saying he was a Whitaker or Mayweather, but he had boxing ability too. So that was another a good quality that Salvador Sanchez had. But I feel like Felix Tito Trinidad is way better than Salvador Sanchez. Way better. And he beat all the Mexicans. So Salvador Sanchez I say he's in the top 5 as far as Mexican fighters. I say Chavez is the number 1. But Chavez is a hater, though. Chavez is a hater. The way he was talking about Xander Zayas, he's a hater. He's always been like that. But yeah, Jay Will, thanks for your comment. Number 1 fan, Salvador Sanchez better than any Puerto Rican. I disagree. I think Tito Trinidad was better than Salvador Sanchez. Way better. And I think they're both similar as far as the countries, the way they supported him. But I think Trinidad gets more support unanimously from Puerto Rico than Salvador Sanchez. But he does get a lot of support from Mexico too, like Salvador Sanchez. But Julio Cesar Chavez is the face of Mexican boxing elite as far as, what in people's minds. I think that Canelo's not at that level. Canelo's just, he benefits from the fact that all the streaming, everything is about streaming now, and the way promotion is done right now is it's easier for you to go viral than back in those 80s and 70s. They didn't have that social media algorithm that we have now, so it's like a disadvantage and he has an advantage because of that. But if he was fighting in the 90s, Canelo, or in the 80s or the 70s, he would not be where he's at. He wouldn't. He would be a regular good, decent fighter. If he was to fight in the era of Tito Trinidad, Ike Corte, Oscar De La Hoya, Pernell Whitaker, Chapo Rosario, Hector Camacho, Julio Cesar Chavez, Jose Ramirez, who gave who controversially beat Pernell Whitaker, and then Pernell Whitaker actually rematched and dominated him. So yeah, if he was to fight in those eras, Canelo would not be hyped up as the great Mexican or great elite as he is now. He's not so elite like the way they say. He lost to Bivol, he lost to Mayweather, and he lost to Lara. And the competitive fights that he had in the elite level, he wasn't convincing. He didn't blow away Golovkin. In those 3 fights, the only one that he won convincingly was the 3rd fight, where Golovkin was older and died in sore bones, and that's the only reason why he beat him so dominant like that. But he waited on purpose, Canelo, for Golovkin to get old, and that's why he was able to beat him the way he did. But when they were at their best, Canelo has used steroids, and still the fight it could have went either way. A lot of people said Golovkin beat him, and in the 2 fights they weren't like a convincing victory. Freddie Martinez, enjoy the ride, champ. No rush. You still only 22 years down the road. You will own the division. By the way, his KO ratio is almost 60%. It's facts, man. Like, he's got room to improve, and there's no rush. He's 22 years old, the youngest fighter currently in boxing today, because he's 22, and there's no rush. And I believe that he's only going to get better, and he does have power, but not one punch KO power. He doesn't have that kind of power. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. And I believe that Xander Zayas is going to get better, but right now, no rush to unify with the other champion. He still needs to get better, and he still needs to improve on certain things on the killer instinct part. He's not Tito Trinidad, but he does have the ability to hurt you with combinations, but he has to up the ante a little bit more, especially with Jorge Garcia. He had opportunities to stop him, but he chose to keep dominating and moving and using lateral movement. Not running, boxing ability. Okay? That's what Julio Cesar Chavez needs to get through his head, because he struggled with boxing. Julio Cesar Chavez struggled with Frankie Randall, with Pernell Whitaker. He struggled. Meldrick Taylor, even though with that fight, they stopped it a little too soon. He knocked him down, Chavez, with a hook. Richie Steele stopped it prematurely, and if he would have let the fight continue in the few seconds that the fight had left in the 15 rounds, he would have won by decision, Taylor. But since he knocked him down, and Chavez is the money fighter, there's politics behind that. I know there's politics. Boxing is corrupt. Hector Sanchez only beat Gomez when he moved up. Facts. Yes, Sanchez would have lost, would have disowned him. Mexico would have disowned him. Gomez beat Zarate, yep, and Pryor, which were dangerous. Yeah, he beat all the Zarate. He beat Zarate, and the thing is, he put himself at a disadvantage with Fredo Gomez when he moved up 4 weight classes, 126 from 122, to fight Salvador Sanchez. He put himself at a disadvantage because that was not naturally his weight class. Wilfredo Gomez was a 122-pounder champion, not a 126-pounder champion like Salvador Sanchez was. So let's just call it for what it is. Mexico always had to have some kind of advantage by cheating with the plaster with Margachito. And when Chavez beat Camacho, Camacho wasn't at his best anymore. Camacho had ruined his potential by doing drugs and the street life that he was living. If he would have fought him in his prime, when he was really totally the best version of himself, Camacho would have dominated Chavez. But he squandered his career. But Camacho is a great 3-time champion. I got nothing but respect for him, but God rest his soul. But I think that Camacho was way better than Chavez. If they would have fought earlier in his best time, where he didn't ruin his health and his abilities with the lifestyle that he lived, Camacho, he would have beaten Chavez. But he was untouchable. But then when he fought Chavez, he was no longer the same Camacho. So, and also the weight difference between Salvador Sanchez and Wilfredo Gomez, that's also a factor where the Mexicans had the advantage with the weight. Margachito with the plaster, and Camacho with the lifestyle that Camacho chose, and he wasn't the best version of himself when he fought Chavez. Those were all factors in why that they lost against Mexico. Because if you put a Mexican and a Puerto Rican fighting at the elite level, where both are the best versions of themselves, the Puerto Rican 9 times out of 10 will win. And I mentioned the factors why, based on our athleticism and our abilities, and based on the Mexicans' ability in the chin, etc. I said that in my previous video. I said that. You already know. You already know. You already know. So subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. I believe the Dominicans have a guy that his name is Henry. I forgot his name. He's at the 140-pound weight class. Henry Cedeño. He's 16-0 with 12 KOs. And he said that they asked him, what do you think about what Rohan Polanco said, that Subriel Matias is easy? He said, do you agree with that? He said, no, I don't think it's easy, but I believe I'll beat him. That's what Henry Cedeño said. So he's a Dominican ranked in the top 10 at 140 pounds weight class. And he has a nice record, 16-0 with 12 KO. But you got to crawl before you walk. You got to earn it. You haven't fought the fighters that Subriel Matias fought. So he did say that Henry Cedeño did say that Subriel Matias is not easy, the way Rohan Polanco said, who's been fighting nothing but taxi cab drivers, if you look at it. And he struggled in his last fight, like with a boxer that he only had like 5 KOs, and he had like 2-3 losses. I mean, he struggled with his jab and struggled to knock him out. So if you say that Subriel Matias is easy, Rohan Polanco, then why was it so hard for you to stop your last opponent, your last fight? Like, you won the fight, but a fighter like that, Subriel Matias would have knocked him out. So you're not on the level of Subriel Matias, Rohan Polanco. If you want your little 15 minutes of fame, I'll give it to you. But you're not at that level yet. You didn't wow me. He didn't wow me. He won against an opponent that is awkward, has a jab, boxing ability, but you didn't stop him. And you're not at that level. I don't know too much about Henry Cedeño. He looks good. I gotta see more. I gotta see more fights. 16-0 with 12 KOs, but I don't think he's ready for Subriel Matias. But at the end of the day, boxing is a young man's sport. I think he's 26. He's 27 years old now, Henry Cedeño. So eventually, after a certain age, you're not gonna have the same flexibility and reflexes that you had when you was younger. So I think Subriel Matias has a lot left, and he's still dangerous, and he's still a formidable champion and a very great, relentless style. And that style is complicated for anybody. And I believe that he's still gonna hold his belt. It's kind of like 50-50. We don't know what's gonna happen when he fights Gary Antoine Russell or Hitchinson, but I think that he still has more than enough to stay competitive and winnable if he stays consistent like the way he has been. So boxing is a young man's sport, so we don't know. But I feel like Dominicans thinking that we have less boxing prospects than them, that they have better they're wrong about that, because Puerto Ricans have great boxing prospects. They're just not, like, right now the only promotion in Puerto Rico that's promoting the great boxing prospects is Universal Promotion, and I believe that they are doing a great service for the future of Puerto Rican boxing. They have the future Puerto Rican champions. They work with every company. They work with everyone, and they're working with Pro Box TV as well, with the lady, I forgot her name. She's really good at boxing commentating. She's actually gone into a lot of the Universal Promotion shows that they have. So there's a lot of networking that Universal Promotion has, and they have leverage, and they're building the Puerto Rican talent, the locals of Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican boxing, and they're doing a better service than Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto is focusing more on the Dominicans than Puerto Ricans. He has Juanita Lopez as one of the fighters that he's promoted, but he's promoted the Dominicans more than the Puerto Ricans, which is bad. You should promote the Puerto Ricans first and the Dominicans second, because you are a boxing promoter from Puerto Rico. You're supposed to care first about Puerto Rican boxing first, and then Dominican and Mexican fighters. Yes, give everybody a chance, but focus more on the boxing of Puerto Rico, the locals, the boxing prospects of Puerto Rico. I think Universal Promotion is a better promotion than Miguel Cotto. They're doing more for Puerto Rican boxing, and they got Abisael Cotto, who's going to fight September 12th, 130-pound weight division. He is the future of Puerto Rican boxing as far as the 130 weight class division, and I believe that he's going to go far. And I'm going to interview him this Saturday, God willing. Yes, he already discussed it. So yeah, subscribe to my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. So everybody who's hating, the Dominicans and the Mexicans that are hating, like that's really really messed up that you guys are hating on us when we're the ones that are actually helping you. The boxing promoter of Puerto Rico, Miguel Cotto Promotions, is promoting the Dominican fighters more than the Puerto Ricans, which is, it's not right. But we are helping Dominicans, and Dominicans need to be more humble and appreciate what Puerto Ricans are doing for them, because Puerto Ricans, Miguel Cotto Promotions promoting young Carlos Santana, promoting him, and they're promoting Rohan Polanco. They're promoting both fighters. But I believe that Dominicans need to be more humble and need to appreciate what Puerto Ricans are doing for them, because if it wasn't for Puerto Ricans, they wouldn't be where they are right now. That's the truth. Spade, you promote whoever gonna get you money. That's business, Boricua. I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of boxing fighters out there in Puerto Rico that are way better than Carlos Santana and better than Rohan Polanco. But Cotto is missing the mark. He's not looking. He just wants to broaden his horizon. Get it with the Dominican boxing, so that way he has options, I guess. Puerto Rican boxing and Dominican boxing. So I feel like, yes, boxing's a business, but the way he's going about it is uneven. I feel like he's focusing more on the Dominicans too much and the Puerto Ricans less. Even though he does have a great talent in Juanita Lopez, who, yeah, he passed the eyeball test. He shows more than Rohan Polanco and young Carlos Santana. I'm not saying that they don't have potential, but he passed the eyeball test. Like, he shows the speed, the power, the quickness, the angles. Like, he shows that he's on another level when you see his fights. But when I saw the Rohan Polanco and young Santana fight, young Carlos Santana fight, I didn't see the level. I need to see more. So, Spade, you're right about what you said, but at the same time, he's doing it in a way where it's uneven. Because you can make money with Puerto Rican boxing even more, because we're more marketable, and we have a boxing pedigree in boxing, a history of boxing. We have the most champions per capita, I think 60 plus or 70 champions, right, that we've had. And you know, boxing is more marketable with Puerto Rico than it is for the Dominican Republic, but the Dominican Republic is coming up, so there is some marketability potential, and that's what he's banking on. But at the same time, he got to look at the whole spectrum, not just be one-dimensional about his approach, because he's putting more emphasis on the Dominicans than the Puerto Ricans, when the Puerto Rican fighter that he has, Juanita Lopez, has way more talent than John Santana and Rohan Polanco. He passed the eyeball test. He showed that he's on another level, the way he got that knockout. Look at that fight. Look at all those three fights and tell me, who looks more like championship status? Who convinces you more? Get back to me on that. But thanks for the comment, Spade. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. You're tuning into my channel. Peace. I'll be back with Abisael Cotto. He's gonna be my next guest on my show. Let me read this one comment from Spade, #1 fan, before I go. Wake of Liv's been a business since boxing started. Puerto Rico got to step up and start winning fights. Miguel Cotto, my cousin. Oh, he's your cousin? I didn't know that. But there is a lot of potential in the prospects in Puerto Rico, but he's not looking into them. He's focusing more on the Dominicans, which I feel like It's a disservice to Boricuas. I'm not saying Cotto's not great. He was a great champion. 3 weight division and four. In 4 weight divisions. He's accomplished 6 championships, I believe. I think 6 or 4. No, I think he's accomplished 6 in 4 weight classes. I think. I'm not sure. But yes, if he's your cousin, I'm not hating on Cotto, but he needs to focus on the talent that Puerto Rico has more than the talent that Puerto Rico doesn't have, because there's a lot of talent there. Abisael Cotto is somebody to be reckoned with, and Universal Promotion is doing a better job in promoting the prospects from the island than Cotto. I think that's just my honest observation. I'm not going to say opinion. It's my honest observation, because it's not an opinion. I think it's facts. So, Spade, I got respect for you tuning into my channel, and you say Cotto's your cousin. Fine, you're gonna have a biased opinion because he's your cousin. But at the same time, I know Cotto's a great person. He don't have the charisma that Tito Trinidad has. That's why Tito Trinidad is more beloved. He's beloved in Puerto Rico. Cotto's not. He's respected but not beloved. But I still give credit to Cotto as a champion in 4 different weight classes. You know, the first Puerto Rican to do it. But at the same time, Spade, #1 fan, says, Caguas, baby. Respect to you, Spade. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. But at the same time, Felix Tito Trinidad is a better, more charismatic champion than Cotto ever was. And I feel like he's won the hearts of the people. 5 championships in 3 weight classes. And the opponents that he's fought, I think that he's beaten were better. I think so. But I respect Cotto, Miguel Cotto. He's a great person, great champion, great accomplishments for Puerto Rico. But I think he needs to step up his game as far as promoting the talent in Puerto Rico. And I think Tito Trinidad is more proud of being Puerto Rican than him, because Tito Trinidad, he screams it from the top of his lungs and he pounds his chest, and he's passionate. He's more passionate, and he engages with the people, and that's what a Boricua should do: engage with the people, be more engaging with the people, and be willing to take pictures and stay with the fans after the fight. I think that's the difference between Miguel Cotto and Felix Tito Trinidad. But respect to all the champions of Puerto Rico and Mexico as well. But I'm just calling it for what it is, and respect to you for tuning into the channel. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing, and I got love for Miguel Cotto, but I got more love for Tito Trinidad. He touched the heart and soul of all Boricuas worldwide in the diaspora, and he united my family. And boxing, like whenever he fought, people didn't have to go to work. He provided the fight between De La Hoya and Felix Tito Trinidad for free for the inmates in Puerto Rico. He's done revolutionary stuff with the situation in Puerto Rico with Vieques. Like he walked in the ring and was used as a tool to bring awareness of what the United States was doing to Puerto Rico and Vieques. You know, bombing Vieques and messing up the natural resources and polluting the air. He actually did that. He was basically connected to the people. Hey, Spade, man, #1. I appreciate your comment. He says, "We have to move on. Trinidad or Cotto ain't around no more." They're alive. They're alive. What are you talking about? They ain't around no more. They ain't around no more in boxing, as far as boxing in the ring, but they are alive. So we still gotta, we have to honor these guys because they did a lot for Puerto Rico, but Tito Trinidad did more. All right? Peace. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid to subscribe if you want the truth. Peace.